Sean, tonight, cut off the money. Now, that's an idea. It belongs to Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. He just introduced a bill to cut off funding for a civilian trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others. Senator Graham joins us live. Good evening, Senator.
Thank you.
And, of course, then before we even get to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, news tonight that the underwear bomber, for lack of a better description, that he is cooperating with the United States.
Well, I hope so, but they told us the first time that we got all we needed to know, so the fact that he's talking must mean he has something more to know. But this is not a system. This is blind luck. We need a system that would allow this guy to be interrogated by our military without a lawyer intervening. You can do that under the law of armed conflict, so I hope he is talking, but we need not repeat this mistake again.
Well, the interesting thing is my prior life as a criminal defense lawyer, so and so my look at this, either he got himself a deal right up front, a good deal, or he's got a lousy lawyer. And I understand his lawyer's good, so he must have gotten some deal.
I used to be a military lawyer, defense lawyer. I used to be a defense lawyer in the civilian world. Yeah, I wouldn't let my guy talk until I knew it was to his benefit. And that's what's wrong with this law enforcement model. We're not prosecuting crime. This guy was fresh off the battlefield. He's not a common criminal. He's part of Al-Qaeda. He should have been turned over to the military, questioned about his intelligence, what he knew about the enemy. We're trying to win a war, not fight crime, and that was a mistake to read him his Miranda rights, and if he talks, it's just blind luck.
And I guess that's the thing we should point out to the viewers, is that in a civilian matter, you get read your Miranda rights, and the minute you say you want a lawyer, that's where all the question has to stop.
Yeah, that's right. So I've been a military lawyer for 25 years, and what military commanders want when they capture an enemy prisoner is not about prosecution. It's about, one, I want him off the battlefield, and two, I want to know what he knows about the enemy so I can protect my soldiers. And if you want to prosecute him, you do that later in military tribunals. So this whole criminalization of the war is really going to make us weaker and less safe. And I hope the president will reconsider putting these guys in civilian court. We've never done this in any other war, and it's a bad precedent, and it's unnerving the nation.
All right, other trial, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. You introduced a bill today to cut off the funds.
Yeah, you know, I really, in many ways, hate to do that, but we've never put an enemy combatant, an enemy prisoner, non-citizen enemy combatant in federal court before. German and Japanese prisoners never got federal civilian trials. To give this guy the same constitutional rights as an American citizen is just wrong. He's the mastermind of 9/11. So the only thing Congress can do is stop the funding, and I've gotten bipartisan support to not fund the move of Sheikh Mohammed to New York City or any other venue for civilian trial. This is not crime we're fighting, it's a war, and he should be in a military legal system.
What Democrats signed on with you?
Jim Webb, who was great, Blanche Lincoln. I think there'll be other Democrats come on board, because it's hard to go home and explain to people why you would spend $300 million to take the mastermind of 9/11 back to New York, the scene of this horrible attack on our country, given the same constitutional rights as an American citizen. It makes no sense. It doesn't make us safer. It doesn't make us more noble.
All right. Now, I realize that we're in horrible economic times, because we talk about this every single night. But I'm curious. Is your view of this an economic one, or is it because you think he shouldn't have a civilian trial? That's the second part. And if you don't think he should have a civilian trial, but some sort of military tribunal, is the trial significantly different than the civilian one?
Well, it is significantly different. Military tribunals are set up understanding we're at war. There are better procedures to protect classified information in a military tribunal. The Blind Sheikh trial back in the 90s, the guy who tried to blow up the World Trade Center the first time, was put in civilian court. We had to give to the defense the unindicted co-conspirator list as part of a civilian law discovery. Osama bin Laden's name was on that list. It wound up in his hand in the Sudan, and he knew we were following him back in 1995. In a military tribunal situation, the defendant is given a lawyer, presumed to be innocent, proved beyond a reasonable doubt, but the military judge can protect classified information much better, and so this is the way we've tried other enemy prisoners.
All right. Now, there have been some tribunals where civilian tribunals, like the trial out in Alexandria, Virginia, in which they did keep classified information out of the hands of the defendant. But let me ask you, is the military tribunal you would like to see Khalid Sheikh Mohammed tried in, is that identical to the tribunal of someone who's in uniform, who, for instance, commits a crime or something?
That's a very, very good question. It is very close to the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So if I'm a member of the military and I commit a crime, the person could get the same, essentially the same trial I am?
Yeah, the Judge Advocate General of the Navy said that he would be proud and okay with any military member being tried in the military commission system. There are some differences. We're talking about enemy prisoners during a war, not one of our guys committing a crime in the military. So there are some differences, but it's virtually almost identically same to a court-martial, and that's what we've been doing for 200 years. We had German saboteurs.
What's the major difference? I mean, what's the biggest difference between some court-martial and tribunal?
One of the big differences is when you capture an enemy prisoner is during a military conflict. So the idea of saying I was coerced is different because all of these guys are captured on the battlefield in shootouts. So the military law understands that when you capture somebody as a result of a firefight, you're going to have a different standard than if you arrest some American citizen or military member in terms of questioning. The first thing you do in the military when you capture these guys is you seize them, take them off the battlefield, and you try to find out what they know about the enemy. So that's a totally different process than accusing a military member of a crime, and the law of armed conflict allows for that, and it also allows holding an enemy prisoner without trial. 50 of the guys that get Greta will never go into a military or civilian court, but they're too dangerous to let go. That's why you want to use the law of armed conflict from the very beginning. An enemy combatant can be tried by military commission, but they don't have to be tried at all. We're not fighting crime, we're fighting a war, and you don't have to let the enemy prisoner go back to the fight.
All right, I understand that you're using your bill to cut off funding,
right,
which you've had bipartisan support, some
right,
to as an effort to stop the trial from going forward in New York. But to what extent is what drives you the cost element, or just because you believe this? So it's the system, and you're using the cost as an effort
right,
to achieve that.
What drives me is my knowledge of the law of armed conflict and my belief that we're at war. When you capture an enemy prisoner under military law, you can question them without a lawyer to find out what the enemy's up to. Under domestic criminal law, the moment you capture somebody, you have to read them their rights. We're not trying to win a court case, we're trying to win a war, and the law of armed conflict allows you to question prisoners differently, it allows you to hold them without trial if it's in our national security interest, and it provides robust due process. All the things you can do in military law, you can't do in civilian domestic law, nor should you be able to do them. They're two different systems. One's designed to fight a war, the other is designed to resolve criminal disputes.
Senator, nice to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.